Hi, welcome back to the Educated Scholars. I'm Myra G, and this is
DeAndre Moore.
We're so sorry about the hiatus, but we're just now getting back to school, second semester of our junior year. So, just kind of taking everything in stride. Today's topic is going to be why multicultural classes should be required, kindergarten through 12th grade. And I'll go ahead and let Dre take it away.
Well, multicultural classes. Honestly, speaking on personal experience, the whenever I learn about another culture, whenever I have learned about another culture in high school and middle school and previous to that it was always during Black History Month, and it was always the cliche Martin Luther King and what he has done for African Americans. And when I learn about other cultures, it's always the Nazis, Germany. I don't know about you guys, but I have a little bit of knowledge on Asian history, on Australian history, and somewhat on not a lot, but in somewhat on my own African history. And I don't know if it's right to say I blame the education system, but I can say if there was a multicultural course that taught me a lot about different groups, different cultures, I would be better off than where I am today. And Myra, how do you
I mean,
feel
one
about
thing
that?
that you said was that you feel like you don't learn that much because there's not a course at school. And I think with just you spending so much time at school, you should be exposed to something other than Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks when you're learning about different cultures and different histories. Because overall, it's not a different history; it's American history. Um, I think that it's important to learn about these different cultures, different histories, mainly because America is a melting pot, and so either way you spin it, all these people came together to make American society what it is today. Wouldn't be the America that we know it as without the good, the bad, and the ugly, and these different societies coming together. We couldn't do without the Italians. We couldn't do without the blacks. We couldn't do without the Native Americans. I also think it's important for children of different nationalities to see role models that are doing something other than being entertainers and athletes. Those are great professions. I'm not knocking them, but at the same time, not everyone has this talent to do that. And in all honesty, even if you do, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to make it. So seeing someone who's like, oh, I'm aspiring to be a doctor or a writer or whatever the case may be, that might inspire children to go another way that they might have not thought of beforehand.
Speaking of kids and their education, just to like go off of that alone, of course you need to start with the kids because if you give a kid the right to learn about other cultures, in the future he's going to be more accepting of those other cultures. He's going to be more open to their ideas, and completely it'll just lead to like a new generation of humans that have respect for one another that we right now don't have and probably won't have when we get older and our kids grow up, unless they do implement a multicultural studies course required for all classes. It's true that they learn easier if there's one part in their curriculum that they're learning about that is showing their selves or something familiar to them, a person of their own type being successful. I mean, if you put an Asian kid in a class all his life where he's learning about another group, yeah,
Mainly
yeah,
white history in America.
yes, because that's mainly what we're all taught: white American history. And I don't have a problem with learning about it, but when that's the only thing that's repeated every year again, every year again, it kind of gets boring, if not, and it's not even interesting to learn about anything. The class that I am seeking for the class I'm hoping for is a history class that switches nationalities, I guess, every 2 weeks. One week they'll talk about one, and then the next week another. And for a full semester, I mean, that could lead to a smart kid.
I mean, just kind of to piggyback off what Dre said when he came to speaking about tolerance, I think that the way that we're learning only about mainly Caucasian history or very limited views of Black history kind of creates a Eurocentric America in which everything, the standards of the way we talk, the way we act, the way we dress, is all very much based on that. On those idealisms. And honestly, I know that people want to act like racism doesn't exist, but it's still very prevalent in the United States and very prevalent everywhere. I can't even just speak for the United States. And so I think that learning about history, and not just specifically Black history or Native American history or just Martin Luther King or, people of that nature, but learning about, the Huey P. Newtons and the Angela Davises or the Confucius and Buddha and, Muhammad, those are all very important to creating a society where children are in touch with the past and their own history and the plight of this country. But not only that, they can see the beauty in all cultures and take something from it. I think that all people have a lot to learn and give to each other if we really opened ourselves up and exposed it to each other. I agree with Dre's idea of the course kind of switching nationalities and cultures every 2 weeks. But what I think would be most important would be to get someone who is truly educated and is truly dedicated to fully explaining the story. I think so often we kind of sugarcoat over what we don't want, people to know. And you can't do that. I mean, if you just kind of glossed over slavery and be like, people got brought over here by ships and they worked for free, you're not really getting at the root of it, because at the end of the day, America was built for free. And that's 400 years of people being oppressed. And it's not just Blacks. It's Native Americans. It could be Asians. It could be anybody. And so when you think about it in that aspect, where would America be without being built for free? Without this extra push. And I just think that kind of studying could really benefit our country in ways that we couldn't even imagine.
Kind of switching the subject real quick. Have you taken a world history class
I have not taken one at Mizzou specifically. I've taken a world history class. Most of the time it's just a reiteration of what I've kind of learned from high school. I am in a Black history class currently, and although I'm enjoying it and I'm learning about a lot of different things, I feel like I still have room to learn about other cultures, and I think that I definitely need a place to do so.
Well, the reason I asked you this is because when you were talking about the history of Blacks and that a ship brought the slaves over here and so forth, I was just thinking of the world history class that I took, and like you said, the Black history class you're taking very repetitive and whatnot. I feel the same way about the world history class that I did take last year here at Mizzou. When they did get to different cultures and different, even different religions, it was everything that I've heard before in some context. Either like I can't give you an example, sorry, but it was just repetitive everything. And I guess my final statement is just repeating everything we've been saying: a multicultural education class.
Yeah, I definitely just think that a multicultural class will provide growth. And a lot of understanding, and that's something that we definitely need as we proceed into these new years.
With America being one of the most diverse countries in the world.
Absolutely, and it's just growing. So, this has been the Educated Scholar. We will hopefully get back to you next week. I hope you're having a great week, and we're out.
Hi, Mom.